Okay, so my topic is on Latinx gender and sexuality in media and popular culture. Oops, there we go. Please bear with me. The first couple slides are super text heavy, but they're necessary. Gender, sexuality, and identity. This should serve as like a review. With ideas and concepts constantly evolving, these notions are more common to discuss. But does everyone define these concepts the same? Um, the way I chose to define these terms are based off of what we learned in class. So, gender identification is the way one chooses to express themselves, whether it's through clothing, appearance, and behavior. Some may express themselves through a more feminine or masculine trait. Sexuality is experienced and expressed. It is essentially referring to who one is attracted to. And identity. It's knowing who you are regardless of your biological sex or societal norms enforced upon you. I just want to highlight that since the dawn of society, people have institutionalized the meaning of biological sex corresponding with gender. We see it everywhere. We see it in laws, we see it within our relatives. It's really common. So, I do want to say though, that although gender norms are slowly disappearing, with upcoming generations challenging the dated connotations, society is evolving and slowly accepting the idea of gender as a performance. So here we have Joan Scott. She's a pretty well-known uh, historian within the feminist community. So she argues that those who would codify the meaning of words fight a losing battle, for words have a history. Scott is basically challenging the dynamic in which people in modern times are trying to reinterpret the meanings of gender and identity. But to argue, yes, history has power behind it, um, behind words, but Sandra Soto in her book shows that given the incredibly rich body of primary cultural productions by Latinx artists. It's a really long sentence, I'm sorry. Writers and performers innovatively experimented with the complexity of various racialized forms of identity. Artists are establishing and reinforcing the notions of gender being a performance rather than association through biological sex. And I have to agree with her. There are many artists now, and even back then, who have reinforced these notions of gender. They have interpreted it through a different way, in which is more, I guess, modern. So, an example is Juan Gabriel, and if you're unfamiliar with who he is, ask your parents. He's honestly very well loved within the Latinx community. Um, Juan Gabriel's flamboyant personality introduced feminine mannerisms to the public eye during the 70s and the 2010s. We all know that within older Latinx community, there are still expectations of gender norms and machismo, but Juan Gabriel broke those barriers. Sorry. Before I play this, I just want to say that I'm going to kind of try to translate it after for those who don't speak Spanish.
Juan Gabriel, Juan Gabriel, Juan Gabriel. Dicen que es gay. Juan Gabriel es gay.
¿A usted le interesa mucho?
Yo pregunto.
Pues yo le respondo con otra pregunta.
Dígame.
Dicen que lo que se ve no se pregunta, mijo.
Yo veo a un cantante frente a mí, veo a un triunfador.
Eso es lo más importante, porque uno no vale por las personalidades que otras gentes pueden achacar que esto y que el otro. Porque, hombre, todo lo que uno hace es lo que se queda, lo que vale. Los hechos son los más importantes.
So basically, this interviewer was asking him, "Are you gay?" The people want to know. To which Juan Gabriel responded, "What you see, you don't ask." And this is, I believe, during the late or early 90s. It's pretty early. It's in a time where, to be gay, it was people were gay and they were expressing that they were gay, and But it was kind of like this don't ask, don't tell type of policy that was implemented with many people's contracts, including his, I believe. So to his response, he said, what you see, you don't ask. And he's basically saying that I know who I am, and that's what matters. And what's important is to judge the content that I'm creating, not me as a person. And that just goes to show the power of identity. Juan Gabriel went on a national platform and gave such a powerful response. For me, at least in my opinion, it gives the community kind of a sense of confidence in expressing your identity freely. So here we have another very notable figure, Walter Mercado. Again, if you don't know who he is, ask your parents. He's one of the most recognizable figures in our culture. According to Samantha in Me Too, in a Me Too article, he is one of the first gender nonconforming individuals that many in the Latino community encountered, despite the stigma that is attached to people who live outside of gender norms. So again, Walter Mercado is an astrologer of Puerto Rican lineage. He has a segment on Primero Impacto, he had a segment, he passed away. Mercado was kind of a fashion icon. He wore bedazzled capes, lots of jewelry, makeup, and he did this on a national platform. In the same article, he made a pretty interesting and powerful comment. He said, I broke the barriers. Boys wear blue and girls wear pink. Why? No, that's in the past. Extreme gender conformity, machismo, and weak submissive women? No. We are humans. People have the right to think whatever they want. I follow my own path. I am who I am. And this is kind of like a segment of what he used to do in Primero Impacto.
Te envío este momento mis bendiciones. Que Dios me los bendiga a todos, hoy, mañana y siempre. Y que reciban de mí siempre paz, mucha paz. Pero sobre todo, mucho amor.
So, yeah, that just further proves my point in saying that artists are breaking these boundaries. So next we have Vogue. Before I begin, I kind of want to give a small definition of what mueses are. They're a dual being. They don't believe in female or male. They're just simply are. So as we all know, Vogue is pretty problematic with their magazines. They have implied one perspective of beauty standards through their various magazines, whether it's Vogue India, Vogue Italia, Vogue USA, whatever Vogue it is, it's always kind of the same one person type of beauty. Basically like a pale white person, in other words. So, mueses were featured in one of Vogue's magazines, and Alexis Baron with Me Too states, the editorial side of fashion, however, has been a bit slow to embrace representation and support genderqueer people. But this month, Vogue Mexico and Latin America, in collaboration with British Vogue, are leading the charge by dedicating their cover story to a small group of people in Oaxaca who seek to live outside binary roles, los mueses. So these women were featured on Vogue. I'm sorry, they're not women. Mueses were featured on Vogue. And they basically just, showed themselves, showed their personality, showed where they come from and how they represent themselves, and created a presence in the fashion community that Western tradition haven't seen. I mean, I personally have never seen this before, and I think it's just amazing that Vogue, a pretty problematic platform, has introduced this to us. It's powerful, it's great. So some concluding thoughts. Throughout communities established within media platforms such as Me Too, TikTok, amongst others, creators and influencers change the fixed notions of gender and sexuality. The Latinx community has essentially created a safe place where people have the ability to express themselves freely. And here we have Rosa, who is a famous TikToker. If you haven't seen their videos, please watch them. They're really funny. And then we have one of my favorite Twitter activists, Ms. Gia. So the reason why I chose to put Gia is because she uses Twitter as a platform to show her day-to-day life as a trans woman. And if you read her bio, it just shows how much of a, stance she takes in expressing her identity. And I also want to end this by saying that, maybe not everyone had this, oh my God, Juan Gabriel made me feel so free to express myself type of feeling. It's not the same for everyone, but I do want to emphasize that that popular culture and celebrities had those national platforms and they expressed their identities with no shame. And it did contribute to the notion of gender identity and gender as a performance becoming a norm. And that's it. Thank you.